I'm not a conversation starter.
That's fine. That's not what we're here for.
Hmm.
We're just here to chill. So what's going on with you, man? It's been a minute
It's been a minute
since
so
we saw each other.
I don't know what's.
It's like, where's life at? What are you?
We're back to
What are you focusing on?
art full time now.
Yeah.
Making art full time again, but also not trying to run myself into the ground like I did last time. You know. So I mean.
So what's different this time?
Ooh, I think like instead of worrying about the business first, I'm just I try to take care of my health first and my time first.
Yeah.
And really, I'm cool with it being slow, like because I got my little side writing project called Find Your Slow, and I've just been working on that, and that's like, so the idea is that it's okay to take time, because I think. Yeah. Especially for, I don't know, for me, it's better that I take time. It's better that I move at a slower pace than push my way into places. I find that when I just relax and do the things that are like healthy, make sure I'm taking care of all my little dimensions of wellness.
Yeah.
That's when like life really begins to flow. Also, I'm just so happy to just not have to be like working full time again.
True.
And I guess
that gives puts you in perspective, huh?
Well, yeah,
you
the
go
contrast
like that, and then...
Well, yeah, you can also like see how much of your time you give away, and also the dollar value of your time that you're giving away when you're working a job, right? So I could see that side by side, like. Oh wow, when I do this, like I get paid this much. And when I do this, I have to work 80 hours to do that. And not saying that I don't have to work 80 hours to make the money that I make with my art, but it's just better. It's not,
It's the quality of the hours.
Yeah, I'm doing something that I like, more fun. And I also don't like being the boss. I don't want to be the boss. I never want to be a boss.
No?
No.
Why not?
Well, the boss in that sense, you know what I mean? So I was the GM of a restaurant. So it was like, so in that sense, like I never want to be that type of boss. Way too many personalities.
So dealing with people is what you're talking about.
No. I deal with people all the time. Okay. I love people. I don't want to be the boss of a restaurant. I don't want to be the boss of a coffee shop. I thought that's like kind of like what I wanted to do, but
we talked about that.
Yeah, I don't want to do that
Not
ever.
a good idea anymore.
No, I figured that one out fast.
Oh, yeah?
It took me like 8 months to realize that like the food and beverage game is not my game. I'm not gaming that system.
Okay.
My game is the poetry, writing, and then figuring out like fun things that I like to make and kind of just take my time. I'm cool with gigging in different areas of life to just feed the art until it is really sustainable, because that's the thing. Sometimes it goes like this, sometimes it goes like that, so do it like this, goes like that, and then so you have to kind of ride the waves, but also get ready for the troughs. I think that was something I didn't know about when I first started.
How long ago has it been now since you first started?
Like 2018, so 7 years.
Damn.
Yeah, so it's been a long time.
Yeah, dude.
It's good though. I mean, but it takes that long to create something that like sticks around. Yep. Also, I've changed too. So kind of my tactics, how I want to be seen in the world, how I want to continue in a way that's actually fun. Because you can't do the same thing over and over again.
Yeah.
And it not get boring at some point. Like,
how would you like describe that? Because I feel like ever since we met, I've noticed it, like that trajectory. Like in the beginning, it was, straight up, it was like you were reaching this fame, and like you were on like national news and like all this, all this stuff. And we even talked through that whole kind of journey. Like you wanted to go that direction, and then you got like a taste of it, And then I saw you kind of shift a little bit.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, do you remember that?
I do. I mean, I do. I think going on national news, having a lot of people know you, being able to do like, and then making like I think making a good amount of money, more money than I've ever made before, was really cool. And then I thought maybe we could go in that direction of I don't know, being famous or being, I don't know, maybe not famous is the right word, but it's more like well known in your space.
Yeah. Or just famous.
I didn't like it. I didn't really like it because I just like I enjoy what I do.
Yeah.
And it's not about the outside world so much. I don't know if that makes sense, but it just, I didn't like it. I didn't like the way that felt. I don't want to be on the news anymore.
So what's the ideal then? If it's not that, what's the ideal setup?
The ideal setup is do something I like that I can focus on do something that I like that provides me a life that I can also enjoy. The whole idea is not to be working 100 hours a week. I'm not into like the whole, oh yeah, let's work 80, 100 hours a week because money isn't inherently the motivator. It's more of like taking what I've learned, try to distill it, and then write it out and then see what hits, you know, see how that affects people's life. I mean, that's the whole point of the Find Your Slow. Should I go tell this guy to shut up?
Lower guy fucking going at it right now. Let's take a little pause. What time you gotta be at that thing?
Starts at 10.
Is it right here?
It's right there.
Where at? The
20.
What location? Or do we not want to tell them?
No, it's Underground's Coffee.
Oh, Underground's Coffee, yeah.
Oh, like 18th Street?
Yeah, right there. It's
yeah.
Not far at all.
So, I mean, yeah, sure. So I thought fame was cool. I really was thinking like, that's what I want to do. So that was the plan. And that was the trajectory.
Yeah.
And then it just was a chase. And some people love the chase. I just like to chill. I'm not a chasing guy. I'm a chill bro.
That's a great line.
I don't.
Some people love the chase.
You know, like I like this week, like I time block my weeks, and I like having big blocks of nothing in my week. Whereas like I see other people that are not, that, you know, fame is not just you get to do whatever you want all the time. You're constantly moving around, doing things. Your time is not your own.
So that time block you're talking about, is that more like an introvert thing, or is it also, because this is something the one thing I really wanted to talk to you about at some point is really about creativity. And I'm curious if that space that you give yourself to like block out for nothing, is that an opportunity to kind of let creativity come in as well? Like, is that part of that space?
Yeah, I
just want to chill.
It's like a really great way for me. Like that time is usually used to like go on long walks. That time is used to like take a yoga class.
Okay.
You know, but mainly it's just time to not be thinking specifically about how to constantly make the business better.
Right, making moves, like getting shit done.
I think what happens is when you're always in that business brain, you can't see outside of the business brain, and that's not when creativity. That's not where creativity. You know, because you can think like, make the post, do the things, have the Excel sheets. For me, I need a lot.
Lost in it. It's like in the doing, like the constant state of just doing.
I mean, like there's a author. His name's Henry Miller. He's very famous. He wrote a book called the Tropic of Cancer.
Yeah, we can wait. Let's wait.
I think he's taking his backpack off.
Is he?
Yeah. If not, I'm gonna go over there. Two Daughters Landscaping.
We've got more important things going on here.
So Henry Miller was an author who wrote Tropic of Cancer, and he gave an interview, and he said the artist needs to be lazy. And I don't think he meant lazy, but I think the artist needed to be kind of not of the world in a way that's constantly seeking how to become better, to do better, to enhance whatever that is, to just be of the world, to be. And so for me, a lot of it is this time that I have for nothing time. And it's not nothing, you know, I either read or go for a walk.
Nothing,
it's never nothing. I read, I go for walks, I hang out with friends.
Yeah.
The idea is that you also live a life outside of the thing that you do. Mm-hmm. So when I saw how you could go from here to up here, I realized that you weren't like that time to live life was not really available. It was always a thinking about the next step, the next move, the next post.
Keep you going.
Yeah, and that maybe it could have been internal, you know. But yeah, it was a little like, yeah, it could have been internal. Could, you know, because not everyone I think feels like that, but I felt like it was a little bit of a chase, like chasing the next thing. I will say in that moment when I did make an art installation that still sticks with me today. So there was things that remained that I think I want to come back to, but it's the timeline has shifted. You know,
what's the thing? Is there a way for us to talk about it?
So Garden of Growth, you know, that was the thing. Mm-hmm. It was all about intention setting. So my idea is that time is your friend. The idea is that time is your friend. Yeah. And you just show up to do the thing, and then time will do the work. And that was the idea of the Garden of Growth. There was a lot of other mixed in kind of thoughts in this space as well. But overall, if you show up on day one and you give 20%, well, you can do 20% for the next 80 days, but your 20% is going to be much better day 100 than it is day one, right? What your 20% you give, you know, so that's my point. It's not really about, it's really just compound actions over time. So I don't really think too much about, I just show up. I do the poems, I write the poems, I take the class, I read the couple lines, and there's no urgency. Like, I never really found that having like a bucket list that people try to check off was really something glamorous. Like, I see a lot of people that I've met like, yeah, we want to go to every country, we want to do all the things. And I'm like, you know, it just feels like a checklist at one point. Like, it's just, you just gotta, like, when you get there, are you enjoying the moment, or are you know, I don't know. That's, for me, I keep the bucket list small, and then I, you know, once the bucket list is done, then I move on to the next bucket list. It's not, you got
something in that bucket list now?
I want to reorient. Yeah, bucket list right now. Yeah. Yeah, I want to go back to an art studio right now, and I want to follow through on the Garden of Growth, because I created it last time, and now I want to create it this time, and this time I've got an even better way to show it. It's the last.
You already have a vision. There's already something.
Yeah, because I already started it, and I already did like 3 to 4 months of it. It's a slow process of intentionality over time. It's, the idea is that your garden, let's say you're starting something new, right? Well, day one, you're not going to be great. Okay, so, you know,
already accept that.
You know, you're not going to be great. You're not going to be great unless you know, you have some raw talent, and some people just have that. They're good at it. But you're not going to be great. And you're not really going to see any real growth until probably month 3. So in this garden, what I was doing is I was drying roses, and I was then taking the roses and then putting them on the wall. And then I would buy, you know, anywhere from 100 to 200 roses per month, let them dry, and then put them on the wall. And the idea was that the whole room over a year would then be filled with these roses. And that's the idea. The idea is that you're creating this garden on the inside of you, and it takes time, and you can't see it until much later in the process. So, you know, it feels great to take the yoga class day 1. Yeah. And maybe it doesn't, and maybe like, you know, day 100's not that great, but you start to see these. So I wanted to show that like intentionality and that slow progress over time.
Effect over time.
Through the roses. Like the roses were the one thing that maybe you did that month. You know what I mean? So maybe you did 100 things for yourself that month, and this is what it looks like.
I feel like it's also a way to, maybe from an artistic way of reminding people that saying, the smell of the roses.
Yeah, stop and smell the roses.
Where it's like stopping, exactly. It's like you spend all this time, and we're talking about chasing and chasing and chasing. So we get so caught up in the chase and like going up,
right?
That we forget to stop and smell the roses. Like see what you've already created, see how much growth there's already been.
Yeah.
In that process. Now it might not be necessarily about the climb or the chase, but I just mean with what you're saying, where it's like smelling the roses. Like hold on, like take a second. With how far
enjoy
you've
the
come
process
and like the process, right? With how much growth you've had.
You know, and so also like that's another thing about the art that I do is there is no end.
Yeah.
Like the whole point is for me to show up and be in the process of the creating something on the spot, in the moment. So there's no like write these lines, put these lines in book, then sell book. You know, market book. You know, it's not that. It's kind of for me, it's have the week, do the week, and then show up on the weekend or to the event and kind of spill it all there.
Yeah.
And then the week is kind of fills up the container. And that's really what I was saying, is that the week now with how I've been time blocking is really to fill up the container for the next moment. Read some new lines, be inspired, go hang out with friends. And in the Garden of Growth, when I would have people come, I had these big circular coffee rings on the wall, which had the 6 dimensions of wellness, which there's more than 6. There's like 9, or some people have 12, but I used 6 because it felt like you could interact with those.
Yeah.
That was minus having to spend money on it, right? So you could connect with these by just going on a walk, or you could connect with these by just having a conversation with a family member. So these were the ones that I felt were like the main ones, you know. So it was emotional, spiritual, environmental, social, physical, and mental. Emotional, and mental. I think those are the 6. So there's 6. And so when I would have people come into the space, I would say, I'd have a big sticker book, and I'd be like, take a sticker and connect with one of these pieces of wellness inside the space, and then put it on the wall. And then whatever you connected with, if you want to connect with all of them, put a sticker on all of them.
Okay.
So the idea is that you have these spheres of wellness, and that was another layer of the art project, was that you have these spheres of wellness, and maybe each sphere is so, you know, this big.
Yeah.
But as you put time into it, it gets bigger, and it gets bigger, and you can grow your wellness. And you know, and some wellnesses tend to grow easier, but it's just recalibrating yourself to reminding you, is like, this is what a more holistic life looks like. You know, you can't always be focused on the mental well-being. Like, you have to connect with the social well-being of your life, or you have to connect with the environmental. And the environmental...
But do you think that, is it even possible to do all of them all at once?
Yeah.
Yeah?
100%.
You think so?
I think that when I clean up my house with my wife, you know what I mean? I'm connecting with her socially. We're cleaning the environment around us to help us get through the next to help us for the next life. Cleaning can be a very spiritual action. It cleans up your mental like clutter, and emotionally I feel better after I'm done, right? So
it's more about like finding the things in your life that you can kind of, it's kind of like killing two birds with one stone. It's like finding the things you love to do, these activities that you do with someone, your loved ones, and trying to like live a holistic life.
Just live a whole life. Like, you know, take the time. My idea is that if you can, you know, for me, turn off the phone at 7, have the conversation with your friend, you know, go meet for the cup of coffee. If it you know, and I think it's that because,
you know how, like, when you think about it, and I think we forget sometimes with this life that we have here in St. Pete, but this whole idea of like, hey, let's grab a coffee and catch up.
I know.
That's pretty fucking rare. Like, it's not, I think nowadays there's not a lot of people that actually do that as like a normal thing. You know what I mean? Outside of like,
I never really thought about
city
that.
Hubs, certain areas.
Yeah.
Where it's like most people, they're just, honestly, they're probably just home, or they're talking through the social media, talking through their phone, texting.
Yes.
FaceTime. It's like that's what they know. That's what's normal.
It's also a race, you know what I mean? You got to think like everyone, like if you think about a lot of people, we get caught up in the race for things.
Yeah.
You know, where and I think that means, and so for some of us, when we get caught up in the race, the blinders go on and then nothing else matters.
Yeah.
And I actually would rather live a comfortable life as opposed to a rich life, but the riches would come from other parts of my life, right? The riches would be having friends. The riches would be, you know, would be a healthy body. The riches would be, you know, a more stable mental capacity. I think that's the one thing that I was trying to communicate inside of the garden was, oh man, this chase for something that doesn't necessarily ever really end. Because you can always try to get the next thing, or you can always try to be
something next.
There's always someone above you in your, you know what I mean? And it never ends. So really in the end, when I because I took a break for about 8 months. I was doing events that had been booked out for a year, and I just stopped. I stopped really showing up, and I started really just living for myself. And I realized that in that process of taking time, is that it's better for me. I really think moving slow, and not even slow is the slow's not. It's like you can only do so much in a day.
Yeah.
You can only if you had an intention for every day, and you had like a few things that you wanted to mark off your belt, right? A notch off your, you know, like if you, let's say every intention was a rose, how many roses could you put in a day? And does it feel good to put 30 roses up in a day? Or does it feel good to like maybe put 4 really important ones up and let those be, or just one, right?
Yeah.
So I'm really all in on my new kind of slow trajectory.
Yeah.
I'm like, I really want to just
slow and
hit the pinnacle of my life, my writing career, at when I'm old, like at the end of my life.
This is
you know,
the send off.
Yeah, like, you know, as opposed to going up and then going down. You know.
Yeah.
Also, it's never fun to be.
Instead of like peaking at like 40, 50, and then
it can be just
going
do a slow
downhill,
climb.
and it's just like a midlife crisis at that point.
Yeah, you can see that now.
Yeah.
Some people have no choice. They're just so good at what they do, or they're so
or they just got
talented.
caught up in it. right? It's
Yeah,
like
true.
the fame, the success got them so early that like you can only go so far up.
Yeah, there's no other. You hit the limit.
Yeah.
And that's always, I think, a scary piece of then, because I've met people that had kids, right? They had kids when they were in their 20s, and
Actually, let's do a quick little intermission here.
Okay. I'm slowly branding all my stuff, and it's called Find Your Slow. So,
Let's see.
but I've told you that I've been doing only note cards in the writing, and then when I'm done with the month,
So you got a calendar. So you got this, and there's a calendar underneath.
yeah, and then I have stickers, little snail stickers, to mark the days that I did things for myself.
Dude, that's awesome.
And
Where did this snail, the idea of it come about? 'Cause I think you showed me this. We talked about this.
the snail comes from my grandmother.
Oh,
The
that's
snail-
what it was.
The snail was the glass. My grandmother gave me a glass snail for graduation from high school,
Yeah.
and I think she just knew that I was going to be a late bloomer.
Mm-hmm.
And so I didn't really get that until just this year, and I'm 38. So now I'm like, oh shit, she just knew. She knew that I was not really going to figure it. And she had said things like this before. Some people just bloom late, da 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 da.
Yeah.
And the snail I never really got it. And then I also read this book called In Praise of Slowness, which changed my life. That 3 years ago. So the whole slow process has really been kind of just percolating in my whole existence.
Yeah.
Over the past 3 years.
Mm-hmm. We're good. Keep going.
So I just think that with her giving me that, with me taking time to reorient my life towards like something more healthy.
Yeah.
That's when Find Your Slow came, and I had a friend Eva who did the art.
Yeah.
And the idea is that with the snail moves slow, and the rose is from the Garden of Growth. It's actually kind of a combination of both. And it came through. And now I'm just slowly writing blog posts for the Find Your Slow Instagram. I'm thinking of ways to...
But there's no way, I'm going to cut you off right there, that we're not going to show that shoe, though.
I mean, they're dirty, but I'll show.
You got to show it to them. That's so sick.
I don't know which ones.
Either one. This is probably a good one, and that one.
So these are what they look like. And yeah, I think also this can be more of my, it's another side of my creativity that is also that I don't get with the poetry. So the side of the creativity is where I've always liked making tie-dyes or fashion in a way, but not like fashion, and that's like not like high fashion, just taking something, even this, like I had this made.
Oh yeah?
Yeah.
Dude,
I bought the sweatshirt and then
you had it made.
Had the patch put on because I didn't like the middle finger. I'm not a middle finger guy, but I am a rose guy. And so I put the rose on it because I just feel like roses, snails, slowness, gardens, growth, like these things in my life are like took such. I'm trying to. A lot of times I think if we're going to talk about creativity, it's things you do things out of the love for them because you just love them. They're not anything. They're not, they're not to be monetized right away. They're not to be made into something that you can sell, I mean, to each his own. So I think that's, but for me, I just like making stuff. And then it takes sometimes a year to manifest into something that I actually can sell or even want to sell. Mm-hmm. And for instance, I used to make little coffee rings on paper and put little poems in it. And the other day, some guy just commented on my Instagram. He's like, "Hey, what are these? Are these like greeting cards? Like, obviously, like what are they? As in, like, what are they to be? Are they some type of
like, give me a label, put it in a box, because that's what
well, I'm gonna go what it is. And I was like, oh, I just took this picture of all of the coffee rings with little quotes that I wrote, which were like 30 over the past like 2.5 years. You know, they weren't a lot. It just it took time. And I was like, actually, I don't know what they are. I just like putting coffee stains on paper and then writing little like quotes / poems in them. And then as I got to thinking of what it could be, I was like, maybe a coffee book. I was like, maybe like a cool journal / deck. But I don't really know what it is, and I'm not really going to try to put it in a box. And I think that that's one of the things that I like about the poetry is that I don't hold on to the poems anymore. No more holding on. They're gone. They just go. And I don't hold on to them because for a while I was holding on to them, and I have like...
Yeah, you used to have a whole collection
I mean, I still have them. I'm trying to get to a place where I can go. I want to go away for a week and I want to burn them all.
Yeah.
Because I have like 5,000 or 6,000 poems just like sitting at my house, and people are like, "What are you gonna do with them? Are you gonna like publish them?"
Yeah.
And I'm like, "They're not mine. They're not. I don't think that they're mine. Like they weren't meant for me to publish. Other people do publish their poems that they write for other people, and that's fine.
Yeah.
For me, I don't think that they're supposed to be published. I don't want that like pressure to like have to turn something into a project, because then I have to make it a book, and then I have to market it, and then I have to sell it, and then I have to do all these things, and that wasn't the purpose. That was never the intent. The intent was just to...
Always, well, finish that thought. The intent was always...
The intent was just to write the poem and let it, and like have that moment that like I get to share 6 minutes with strangers for the rest of my life, and maybe I get to do that with like 100,000 people in my lifetime, and like that's like so cool. And if I just let the webs be the webs over time, like my life is gonna be good. And when I say good, it's just gonna be good. I never put like I don't want people to think that I put like a number on what life is like good. You know what I mean?
So tell me this, because to me, ever since I've met you, honestly, the way I would describe you is a true artist. Like I'm not even like there's a very kind of old school romantic artist in you that I see, that I've noticed ever since we met. And like, where does that? Have you always been that way? Does it come from grandma? Grandma instilled that in you, or was that kind of like a trajectory where, you know, your approach with poetry changed and evolved over time, and the art itself? Or has it just been you? Have you always just tried to hold on to the art of it all?
I always wrote. Since I was a kid, I wrote. Since I was a kid, I started writing at 9. I always loved writing. I always wanted to be a writer. Yeah. Never thought you could be a writer, because I was always told that writing was something you did later. First you get a job. The job doesn't have to be something that you like. Yada, yada, yada. The whole kind of old school mentality of get the job, do the money, retire, and then do that. And then I kept doing jobs, and I just didn't like the jobs that I was doing. But writing never went away. I was still showing up to open mics. I was still doing the things. Yeah. And I think at some point I just decided that when I was working at Tesla, I saw my future. Yeah. I saw my future in all its entirety. I saw the money that I was gonna make. I saw the fence that I was gonna have. I saw the life that was gonna kind of manifest. And I said, I want none of that. I don't want that at all, because it was too predictable. It was too comfortable, and I wanted to see if I had what it took to actually do something with writing, because that's what actually mattered to me. Yeah. And so I think over time it transformed. I didn't know what I was doing in the beginning. I just wanted to see if I had talent, or if I could see if I could write. And yeah, I've always been I think when I was a kid with my mom, I used to love doing crafts, and I was always interested in making stuff. Yeah. I was also like / business entrepreneur too. I loved making like lemonade stands and stuff. My mom used to take me to a lot of markets when I was a kid.
Okay.
So I love markets. Like I love going to morning markets and just sitting there and writing poems for people. There's something deeply like there's a deep childhood satisfaction that I get from that.
See, I didn't know that part of you.
Yeah,
and that was a thing.
Yeah, and so like I love it. Open air markets. We used to live in Orlando for a little while, so it was like, when I was like 5 till I was 6, 5 till I was 8, and I think it was just so now, but now as I have kind of come through of like a fire, if you will, and come on the other side, I realize now that. There are things that I want to create and give away and just be that what it is.
Yeah.
And there are things that I want to create and sell and be that what it is. But I always want to just create, not want to. I'm not a great business person, and I'm not. Well, I'm not. Yeah, I'm not a great business person. I'm good. I'm a great connector and networker.
Yeah.
And I like people. So when I'm in front of your face, I'm your best friend because I like people. But I may not get back to your email for a week.
Yeah.
Because I'm not really good at like responding to things.
Right.
I'm also. So I think I don't know. The artist piece I think just was always there. I was always gonna do something with all I've always looked at the world and been like, oh, how cool, like look at all this, and then maybe it's a product of all of the crazy YouTubes I listen to, like the Alan Watts and the Terrence McKenna,
right,
and and then the books that I read, and then like a combination of this obsession with maybe like 1920 surrealism and how all these people were living in Paris, and like I just loved that. There's like a time period where you went to Paris, you became the artist, you did the thing, you could do it on the cheap, and like that lives in my mind. Like, oh, I love that. I just want to create stuff and write stuff, and I want to be immersed in this passion that I have for reading. So I don't know. I don't really know how that came about. I just know that it's there.
But is there anything, like if you were to think about it, are there bits and pieces that you think you might have gotten from,
So I would say, so my dad played music, but he was also a computer programmer. All right. So that was his life. So there's the like maybe that side, he was like, and then he was always like, oh, I always wanted to be a filmmaker.
Okay.
So I saw my dad do a job that he liked, but I think if I was never born, he may have tried to pick up a camera. And my mom was just, she's from, she comes from, my grandmother's a mariachi on my mom's side, not my dad's side. But so my dad's side is the one who gave me the snail.
Got it.
Grandmother was a writer. She went to school for English. My mom's side is
the one who gave you the snail.
Yeah.
Okay.
So but I don't know if that was, shout out to Mrs. Wright from like 6th grade, where I used to write stories, and she was like, "You have a wild imagination," and I was like, "Yeah, I guess I do."
Shout out. Those teachers don't get enough credit. The ones that like leave an impression on you.
Joan Wright, if you're out there, I know she's on my Facebook, so she's there. But I think then my mom had this like free spirit, right? She was just, we went to markets. The family wanted to go see the family in California. They, they lived this more kind of like, they did a job, but the job wasn't life, right? My grandmother on my mom's side was a mariachi. So I think there was this something in me that I was seeing, and I was trying to like hone in on like, where do I want life to go? And it definitely wasn't Tesla. I thought maybe restaurant, like own a coffee shop, that'd be cool. Definitely not that. Don't want to be a boss there.
So was there like a tipping point? Because I can I feel like I could describe it because it was a little more recently in my life. But with you and like going from this point in your life, you know, you're working at Tesla, especially back then, that was so glamorized.
It
right?
was
Like
so,
everyone,
oh my
was
God.
like,
Yeah,
oh shit, you work at Tesla?
Yeah,
like
dude,
that, you know what I mean?
2016, 2017, people were like, oh man.
So, like, was there a tipping point when you realized, okay, this isn't it? Like that moment when you're like, oh, I see my life. I see what this life is gonna be, and I don't want that. Like, what was the realization? What was the thought in your mind that made you flip a switch and decide, fuck all that. Like, I'm gonna take this path instead? Is there a moment that you can think about?
I'm trying to think.
Or a combination of things?
I think it was just time compounded, and I was just like fed up. I was like, I don't really want this life. I think I could do something. I think what happened is I knew that I could do something else.
Yeah.
And be okay. And so that permission to like be okay after, if I left this job, was like, I was just like, see ya. I'm just gonna go do something else. I'm just gonna go find out about life. Also, I think my wife
I like that. I'm gonna go
at the time was starting her business.
Okay.
And I had been collecting typewriters and like, you know, making poems, but not like what I was doing now, because I didn't even know that existed yet. You know, and then I quit, and then I went to Seattle, and I went on this like little trip.
Yeah.
And I thought I was like gonna buy typewriters and maybe fix them or do events. I wasn't really sure where it was gonna go.
Yeah.
But then I saw this woman out here, Shannon M. I can't remember her. I can't remember her last name, but I really feel like I'm gonna mess it up if I say it. So, but Shannon M. She was out there writing poems, and I was like, "What are you doing?" And she was like, "I'm writing poems." And I'm like, "How does this work?" And gave her $5.
Yeah.
She wrote me a poem. I should have gave her $50. I didn't know at the time. And she wrote me this poem, this cat poem. And, you know, it wasn't this like crazy changed my life cat poem, you know, because I also wasn't really sure what I wanted. So she had to like drag it out of me. But it was a crazy change my life moment where I knew that when I got back to St. Pete, I'm going to go write poems on the street like this person is.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, 100%. I was like, I knew in my brain that I was like, I could do that, or I at least could try to do that and see if I could come up with something. You know, like see if like, I don't think you ever really know if it's going to be good until you actually try for something like this. Cause you could just like choke right on the spot. Like I don't have anything to say.
Right.
And yeah.
So what do you think? Because, you know, so many people out there, so many still that are probably in a place where they see that life right now. They're like, okay, I have this office job, or I have whatever job. I see where this is going. This is the path in front of me. And let's say they're in a similar situation where they realize that's not what I want. But they have no idea what they want to do. Do you have any recommendations for them, like how to explore that, what to do about that?
Well, if you know you don't want to do what you're doing,
Yeah.
make an exit strategy. Make a definitive day where you're gonna go, because then your mind shifts from like being here until whenever to like, that's my last day. So you shift out of that kind of comfortable space of doing this job that you're comfortable with, or just a job that you're doing.
Fine.
It's okay.
It
whatever, pays the bills, whatever the metaphor is that keeps you there. Make a definitive day. It doesn't and it can be like 6 months from now. It doesn't have to be like tomorrow. It could be like make a definitive day. This is the day that it's over. This is the day that it's done. And start thinking about like what would be next. What would you enjoy doing? What's something, you know? It's hard to say because I feel that I already knew in my mind kind of what was gonna go on.
Yeah. Honestly, I sometimes wonder if most people actually already know what the thing is. It's just throughout their lives, they've suppressed that idea.
Sure.
Because like even for me with videography and filmmaking, which is a very new thing for me. I mean, I'm still a baby. Mm-hmm. But it's like, that's something I knew my whole life I dreamt about, like as a kid dream.
Right.
Right. And then over time, you know, I came up with excuses. It was like, I didn't have the right friends. I didn't go to film school. My parents didn't push me towards art, these are all true things.
Right.
So I've normalized that story in my head. And I would always kind of like look at that thought or look at that idea and just kind of like, oh yeah, that thing that I used to dream about. But then I would just focus on what's in front of me and be realistic, right? Until over time, I came in a similar place as you, where I was like, oh, I see this life in front of me. You know, all my comfort and my means are met through this job, and like overall, I'm in a pretty good place. You know, like it's not bad. But I knew there was something missing. And it took me a while to get there and to realize that it was the art of filmmaking. For me, that was my calling. Mm-hmm. But again, it's like, I feel like most people already have it in them. It's just they've either suppressed it, pushed it away, or just like chalked it up to being an old dream, a kid dream. You know, it's not realistic. Mm-hmm. Until eventually, if they're open enough, if they're paying attention to it, life kind of reminds them, it's like, no, this is a thing that you love to do. This is what it is. But you keep avoiding it, and you keep like walking away. I feel like I think more people than we think know what they want, know what that dream is. It's just, again, it's been hammered at them. They're like, no, that's not realistic. You can't do that.
I have a hard time giving advice for this one, only because what I did, I don't recommend people doing. But I also know that if I didn't do it that way, I don't think it would have ever been this way. So I left Tesla, took all my money, spent it on a month-long trip, came back broke, and went, now I got to figure it out.
Right.
And so in that, like...
And yeah, it's hard to like give that as an advice because it's also dangerous. It is for a lot of people.
I was also younger, so I would not recommend doing it. You know, so I was younger at the time.
If you got kids, if you have other responsibilities,
right. So for me, I would say, pick the date, have the plan, pick the direction, and then just do the tasks. You know, move forward with each one. It doesn't have to be, like I said, you don't have to be doing things at 100%. Yeah. You could be doing things at 25%, but you're getting it done. Time will do the work. Like now, I do very little marketing. Yeah. And I get quite a bit of bookings because time has done the work. I've just shown up at the spaces.
And in this case, we're talking, 7 years?
7 years.
How many years until you got to this point where time has done the work? How many years?
I would say it probably took about...
For you?
5 to years. 6 years. This will be probably the first year where it's been easier to do less and to still have more.
Yeah.
But
I think people need that reminder. It's like,
but
it sounds like a lot, 5 years. I mean, it is. It's a good amount of time. But in the grand scheme of things, it's really not if it means pursuing your passion and creating a life around it.
I'm also giving my life to this. This is it.
To put it into perspective, you've given it 5 years, 7 years now.
Yeah,
and look, what it's become. So it's also like a reminder to be patient.
100%.
Back to what you're saying, like slow and intentional.
You have to be patient. You have to be patient because not everything grows right away. And then there are moments of like great growth, and then and I thought like, ooh, this will last forever, and then they don't, and then you have to reorient yourself back. And now that's why with my whole snail project is to really just anchor myself into my everyday routines and anchor myself into just like finding happiness from the beauty of how what I do today will have an effect in 2027, and just not. So really turning the dial down on the urgency. I really feel that it's not that we don't have enough time. We just often don't have a lot of clarity. We just like, so I say, so for me, I'm kind of, there's a lot of things I want to do.
Yeah.
A lot of things on the bucket list, but they're kind of over there. I'm not really focusing on them right now. Yeah. Because they're not for right now. You know, they're right now. It's for right now. I'm building something different. I've got different trajectory, you know, and I'm kind of easing back into the poetry. Yeah. And I'm also have this like side brand that I want to like curate slowly. And those are the things that I picked. I picked those things and I'm doing those things, and so I have clarity about that, and I'm going in that direction. And I know that because I'm doing these things in time, I'll probably have my art studio. Yeah. And so there's a lot of things that I couldn't have never imagined, you know, in the moment that would come back 2 years from now. Right. And so that's why I just, a lot of people are always like, you got to move with urgency, but yes and no. Like you have to move with urgency, but you also don't have to like panic post at 10 p.m., you know, like because you think that like having that post is going to like get you sales or something like that. Right. So, you know, like fill up your day, make sure you're taking care of you, and just let it be slow, just chill. And it's okay to go, like if you do something and it doesn't work out and you have to go get a job for a little while, that's fine. It's not, there you go. It's not failure. That's not failure. That's just like moving through the motions of figuring out how to make it work, you know? And I think that was the biggest thing is, for me, it was always like, oh, I'm gonna fail. Yeah. And I'm like, what does that even mean? Like, what does that really even mean? And I think because we're so wrapped up in this, in this entrepreneurial is very big right now. It's hot. Yeah. You know, so you know, if you're not, you know, you fail forward and all these fucking motivational quotes that like make me want to throw up. I'm just like, you know what? Maybe I will say this, that when I built this whole thing, as I built it up, I realized that I had to take 3 steps back because the steps that I built on the way up were shitty and wobbly and terrible. And I had to go take 8 months at a job to come back to replank the steps, or whatever the terminology is, to put the screws in, to make it sturdy, so I could take that 4th step now and be here in this place, calm, not feeling like I'm in some type of rush somewhere. Yeah. And with the wisdom that if I gotta get a serving job, I gotta get a serving job. It's not a big deal. Right. My art is what is important, not the...
And you do what you need to do to keep that art alive and present in your life.
My art is what is important. It's not the perception of what people think the art is. Right. And I think that that's what happened when I went on the news. Like there was this like perception of me, you know, like, ooh, like, oh, he's, you know, and I'm like, yeah, but it's still a struggle, no matter, you know, it still can be a struggle, you know, and you're, no matter where you're at in the career. So now I'm like, okay, cool. I know that I'm going to write. I know that I'm going to do poetry for the foreseeable future. Yeah. I know that I do enjoy these things. So I'm going back to, it's more just like going back to the things that I enjoy, creating a life from that, something small, something sustainable, something that gives me time to be with family, if that's like the next move, and let it be from there. You know, I don't I don't need $5 million to be happy, you know?
Yeah. Dude.
Yeah.
You wrapped that up perfectly. Like everything we just talked about, that was beautiful.
Thanks, man.
Yeah. And thanks for being here.
It's always a pleasure hanging out with you, my friend. Good friends. That's what we have them for.
No, but it's the reason why it's like, again, you don't realize this, but you're actually one of the reasons why I started my path. I'm not even kidding you. Like I would see you do your thing and I would see you, it's like I would look at you and think like, wow, he figured it out. Like he figured out him. You know what I mean? Like, you really though, seriously. I think you don't realize just you being out here and you doing the thing that you do, like that leaves an impression on people. Not even, it's like, and that's outside of, your art from your poem.
Yeah.
That you give to people, like the actual art. But just being out there, it's honestly a reminder for a lot of people. It's like, hey, where's your art? Like that's what it was for me, especially in the beginning. So, thanks for that.
Thanks, man. I love hearing those things because it reminds me while I'm there, like when people are out there doing their thing, like, and we're all that. We're all the permission slips for everyone to go do the thing, to be doing the thing that makes you happy, even if it's part time or whatever. Just to be doing it.
Just make it a part of your life.
Make it a part of your life because if you don't have some type of, I don't want to say, I know purpose is kind of like a strung out word, but if you don't have some purpose, which is something that you enjoy to do and you like doing in it, doesn't have to be monetized, doesn't have to be any of like that, because you do it for the love of it, If you don't have any of that, I think that's how people get wrapped up in like
consumption.
In consumption, yes. Right? Like, you know what I mean? Like, you're not focused on doing something like that fills you up, so you fill it up in a different way, however that consumption comes out. I would say for me, when I was in my 20s, for me, because I didn't think I could write or do anything, I drank a lot. That was my consumption.
Right.
My consumption. I don't drink now. I've probably had 3
That's
drinks.
That's a whole other story.
Yeah, I probably had I've had 3 drinks over the past 8 years, and because there's something that fills the void here. For me.
Yeah.
And you got to have that thing for you, even if it's just for you. I don't care. You don't have to put a camera on it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I think that's what. But this we live in a weird, unique New York. We live in a weird world where the outside world is always telling you what you need. And the outside world is constantly saying that what you need is outside of you.
Yeah.
And really, when you slow down, when you really turn the dial down, I'm going to go back to the slow thing because it's like when you really turn the dial down,
there, man.
When you really turn the dial down and you look around, there is so much to be experienced and enjoyed without ever having to put $1 down. Yeah. You can sit at the ocean. You can go to a run club. You can, there are so much stuff. Now, maybe we're in here, we're saying people are very lucky because we've got sun, we've got a lot of people.
Exactly.
We are very lucky here. So, but still, there is so much. And the other day, I'm going to wrap it right here. The other day, I was just, and I'm 1/3 mystical dude, 1/3 chill dude, 1/3 poet, and
that's awesome. I love it.
I was looking around, and I said, and I wrote down on my typewriter, I said, it's hard not to see the synchronicities when you're plugged into gratitude. You know what I mean? And I realized that every time I would wake up, lately I've been waking up and I'm like, damn, I love my life. I was like, holy shit, I get to live this life? This is a fucking great life. I was like, my life is so good. Yeah. I was like, to be doing this, and from no other space, but from the fact that I am willing to go do my art and live that art and have that as my life because that's what I want to do. That's where it brings me joy. My life is so good. And then I go to a market and like we're doing the things and life happens and they put me right somewhere where I didn't want to be. Right. I was like, I don't think this is going to be good.
Yeah.
But I wrote that in the poem and I was looking up, and as I was looking up, realizing that I was plugging into gratitude again as I was writing that, I was like, I had a fountain in front of me, and I was like, what a great place to be, because my fountain is overflowing with abundance. Yeah. And I was like, and this is exactly where I needed to be. And it was because someone came by and I gave that poem to them, and they were like, dude, this is so cool. And when I'm really in this moment of I'm just grateful that I get to be who I am, do the things that I do, have the opportunities that I have. It's just like I just see all of the things start to fit, like as if, the world was trying to like help me out or tell me something, or, and I don't know, because when you have that gratitude lens, you are more open to possibilities. And when you don't have that gratitude lens, you constrict your view of what's possible.
And it also opens you up to start paying attention to the little moments that start to connect.
Yeah.
Make you realize, oh shit, this is why I'm here. Like it all makes sense. All these things happen, the ups and downs.
100%.
Then get me to where I need to be right now at this moment.
Well, you're here, and like maybe for some reason I'm here because I'm supposed to be here, because one person that's coming needs that poem, or that one person that's coming doesn't even need the poem. They just need to see.
It's not always about you either. It's just for the other person too. Like
they just need to see me out.
Yeah.
And then immediately in that seeing me out, that like, because that's what happened for me, right? I saw that woman out, and that immediately gave me.
And I would start seeing you out.
And then so she started that for me. I started that. For you, you start that. It's like this chain reaction of like waking people up.
Exactly.
And that's kind of what I think. That's what I got away from in the middle and coming back to now.
It's a good place to be.
Yeah. Well, I'm definitely grateful. And on
I think that's a great note.
Yeah.
To end it on right there.
100%. Here we go.
Cheers, man.
Cheers. I think I said 100% like 6 times.